So the American Prospect has done some really inspired journalism over the course of the last year, investigating the depths of the president's executive discretion to implement laws or to invoke laws that are already on the books. So Article 2 of the Constitution defines the job description of a president as to take care of that the laws are faithfully executed. You got that? To take care that the laws are faithfully executed. So what that means is laws that have already been passed by Congress, that are statutes that are already on the books, that the president has the broad executive authority to go ahead and use creative application of these existing laws. So given that, obviously very relevant in times where the president does not have the president's party does not control the Congress, which is looking very likely depending on the results in Georgia in the two runoffs on January 5th. Obviously, the Republicans could split or win both, in which case the Republicans would split control of Congress, and Mitch McConnell has already indicated very clearly that if that happens, the Republicans are going to actively work to stymie the Biden agenda. No surprise there, right? That's what Republicans and our government is traditionally best at, is not governing, obstructing governance, or just outsourcing their tasks for governance. Their tasks of governance to other institutions like the Supreme Court, etc. But anyway, I digress. So in this case, given that, that makes the president, the executive authority of the president, even more important. So basically, they did some research, and what they uncovered was really interesting, and that's that the president actually has more broad-ranging power. They found a list of like 30 different items that are really significant, really important items that are actionable, that under the laws currently in place, the president has the authority, the power to invoke to take care that the laws are faithfully executed, right? To serve the public interest, which is what this should be about. So that said, what are those things? So one of them is Medicare for all, under a provision in the Affordable Care Act, which actually has been implemented before. I'll come back to that. The president can do Medicare for all. The president has the discretion to cancel any or all of the publicly owned, government-owed student loan debt, which is 1.5 out of the $1.6 trillion total, owed by 44 million student borrowers to the federal government. So the president can basically expunge 95% of that student loan debt owed by the federal government. And another one is seizing patents to lower drug prices. Under Section 1498, and also through march-in rights of the Bayard-Dole Act of 1980. There are various different means, tools at the president's disposal, legal tools by which the president could seize patents, intellectual property of manufacturers who are generally entitled to market exclusivity for products that they bring to market for a period of 20 years. The president could seize that if it's, again, in a public interest, say in a time where there's a vaccine that's needed, like, I don't know, say in a pandemic, right? So obviously COVID comes to mind there. The president could go ahead and make a vaccine that's widely distributed free. So let's just run down the list of these so you understand that these are laws that are on the books that have already been used in many cases. So Medicare for all. So there was an episode in Libby, Montana, where the residents of Libby were exposed to asbestos that broke out, infected people in the town, and the citizens of Montana applied for, and as they were eligible and applied for Medicare for all, which is something that under Section 1881A of the which I believe that's in the Social Security Act, but through the Affordable Care Act, established through the Affordable Care Act, they could and received all the residents of Libby, not just those who got sick with, from asbestos or came down with symptoms, but all the residents, Medicare for all for the rest of their lives. So that's one less thing they have to worry about, is if they get sick, going bankrupt from medical bills, because they got they could get sick, and that would be a problem if you did, if the government did not step in to help something that they could have, and in that case, the government came through, and there is no reason why, in a time of a national public health crisis, which has been declared a national a declaration of national emergency in the United States in January 31st. There's no reason that you couldn't broaden that out to all the 11 million people who've been infected with COVID, or all those who tested positive, or even everyone, if you wanted to, so that in the event that they came down with COVID, your treatment would be free, and obviously also your vaccine, which under the Section 1498, which is something that comes back from the Eisenhower administration, and which was further codified in the Higher Education Act of 1965. The Department of Education has discretion to expunge all of the publicly owned student loan debt. This is actually something that was amplified since 2010 because of the Student Aid and Fiscal Responsibility Act passed under Obama, which made it so that the federal government basically bought virtually all of the existing debt from middleman bankers, which were previously lending with federal government guarantees. Basically eliminated that middleman, opened up a new line of credit for all students directly with the Department of Education. So that accounts for 1.5 of the $1.6 trillion of student loan debt. The Education Department has authority to just simply wipe that slate clean. That's also something that also upholds a precedent that was established in a 1985 Supreme Court case, Heckler v. Cheney, in which several inmates on death row argued that the drugs that would be used to kill them were not approved by the FDA for that purpose, and therefore the drugs manufacturers violated the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. But the FDA declined to enforce the act, and established that precedent that basically an agency's actions are unreviewable by a court when they're choosing not to enforce, when they're choosing not to exercise enforcement. So there's even a Supreme Court precedent in that case of just basically deciding, it's basically prosecutorial discretion, right? So if someone hits your car, you have standing to sue them, but nothing says that you have to. So that's a whole line of jurisprudence that's basically unquestioned, which is to say that the Education Department has absolute discretion to determine when to stop collections, when to collect less than the full amount, and when to release debtors' claims in toto. So you got that. In addition to, there are actually other things, but obviously student loan debt is an enormous burden. You've got a generation of student debtors, such as myself, or any one of millions of people who basically are unable to start a family, buy a house, get married, start a small business, just because of the crushing burden of student loan debt. Doesn't seem fair, doesn't seem just. And again, the president has the authority to go ahead and cancel all that, so long as he taps an education department head that's sympathetic to that cause. So again, so don't be fooled in the event that the Democrats don't come away with control of the Senate on January 5th. Don't be fooled into thinking that these next couple years of Biden are a lost cause, that there's nothing that Biden can do. I think it's important to keep in mind that the president actually does have, they found a list, did I mention this? 30 items, 30 actionable items. Actually, you should check out the piece in the American Prospect. Shout out to my man, David Dayan. Really inspired, solid research and reporting here. It's a series of articles, and you can go check out the rest if you want more scope of the means. The president can apparently break up the big banks. The president has really broad-ranging powers available to him as per, statutes that are already on the books. But yeah, no, the reason why I really want to stress this is because Biden seems to be managing expectations to keep them low. He recently gave a speech in which he addressed his economic agenda, in which he mentioned that he was open to canceling $10,000 in student loan debt, which is in fact what he ran on, as working with Congress to cancel 10K, which first of all, underachieving even by the standards of the Senate, because there was a Senate resolution that was recently introduced by Minority Leader Chuck Schumer with Elizabeth Warren, calling on him to cancel even more, $50,000 by the authority 1498 of the Education Act that we're talking about here, to invoke that as a means to cancel 50K. Regardless of means. Biden's out here talking about 10K means tested, and I think he also campaigned on all of the remaining debt for earners, for those who earn below 125K that attended public schools or historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs. That's all really nice, but given what we know, which is that the president actually has discretion to cancel all of it, or at least 95% of it, seems like a cop-out and seems like a lowering of expectations, so that, in the event that the Republicans do retain control of the Senate, he sort of has plausible deniability. He can scapegoat the Republicans as a reason why he had his hands tied, and, oh, I wanted to, but the Republicans suck, and it's not that the Democrats are corrupt. It's just that, partisan politics, and you can use that as a message that you can campaign on and fundraise off of for the next 2 years to gear up for 2022. Not really give anybody who voted for you, the independents that went to bat for you this time around, not give them any reason to come back for the Democrats in 2 years, in which case, the pendulum swings back the other way. So, you might think I'm being cynical, but honestly, why wouldn't you be talking about, Medicare for all, for example? I understand Biden didn't run on Medicare for all, but even the primary states where Biden prevailed over Bernie Sanders, who's obviously more closely associated with Medicare for all, but even in those states like Alabama, Tennessee, Virginia, Arizona, Florida, Mississippi, etc., overwhelmingly, the exit polls indicated that voters favored a Medicare for all system, and in fact, Medicare for all polls nationally currently, I believe it's at around 70% nationally today, including I think something like 48% of Republicans, 66% of independents, 86% of Democrats. So again, if you know that we're in a pandemic and we're in a national public health crisis, which we officially are, was declared January 31st, you would think that you would be aggressive, that you would want to vet your options, and there's no doubt in my mind that Biden is going to know what he can and can't do, because he's been in Washington for 40 plus years. So it just seems to me like to not hold him to account is a mistake. So he needs to know that you guys know this, that the public knows that, no, the president actually has a lot more power, wide-ranging power at his disposal, and whether it be to seize patents from, greedy drug manufacturers. Obviously, we're going to need a vaccine, and there are 3 of them that are currently on a race to the market. That's affordable, that's free. It should be free. And yeah, man, Medicare for all, canceling student loan debt. You guys need to know what Biden can and can't do. And yeah, man. So let's hope the Biden administration to account. And that's it.